What is going on, everybody? Happy Monday. Welcome to our second week of My Funded TV, brought to you by your favorite futures prop firm, MyFundedFutures. As we are heading into this second week of programming, we've taken all the feedback that you've given us. We've listened to what you like, what you don't like, and we've got a jam-packed show ahead for you. Today, we're going to be talking ideas. We're going to be talking charts. We had a little bit of a gap lower on the Sunday open, so we're going to look at that in just a couple of minutes here. We've got a big earnings week ahead. We're going to be talking to our expert traders about how they handle earnings. On the board this week, we've got Tesla. We've got a lot of the oil names. We've got Intel. That might be it for what's interesting. If I miss anything, let me know. I see a couple pharmaceuticals in there. But we'll, of course, be talking earnings. We've got a very special guest who's going to be joining us. And if the chat so commands, we might have a few batches of free resets, free accounts. Stay tuned. Again, we'll need to get some chat feedback as to whether or not they're looking for those. But all right, everyone, let's get rocking and rolling. Rather than bringing your traders on, as I've done the first several shows of this week, I'd like to welcome a new member of our cast onto the stream. Idona, can we get you up here?
Welcome. Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. I'm going to kind of be working with Luke, together with Luke, and also be helping and hosting and also being the voice for the chat. So I'm really happy to be here. Yeah.
All right. Idona's going to help carry us through the ideas, through the charts, whatever it takes to make you a better trader. She is listening to you, reading every comment, and asking all the questions that you need asked. Idona, would you like to welcome our traders?
I would love to do that, Luke. Thank you. Okay, so without further ado, let's welcome in our expert traders, Bull Barbie and Forest Knight.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Good.
Awesome. Well, welcome.
Welcome to
so
the group.
Happy. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. I'm a little nervous today, first day, but it's such a pleasure. And I've been watching you guys from backstage for a while. So it's been so lovely. But without further ado, Bull Barbie, will you talk to us about what are you seeing in the market today? Kind of introduce yourself to the audience again, just so they kind of get a better idea of who you are. And yeah.
Yeah, so I'm Bull Barbie, and I know we did bigger introductions last week, but I'll kind of do the quick version. I'm a futures and options trader. I started day trading in 2021, although I was an investor for a long time before that. I decided that I wanted to make income from stocks and all the things that came along with it, which ended up being options and futures in 2021. So here I am. And this week, I wanted to start on the weekly chart because while we did put in a green week a couple weeks ago, we did end up with the red week last week. And you can even tell on the weekly chart that we're starting with a little bit of a gap down. So I'm definitely paying attention to that. And I'm really noting all the kind of levels where we've been kind of stalling, reaching, and not quite making extensions through and everything. And that I'll kind of start with this structure that we were talking about last week. This is the daily chart now. And I'm looking at ES, but all of the markets are kind of doing the same thing. They're all pretty much moving together right now. And we were kind of watching this bull flag to form on the daily charts. And it kind of got a little ugly and messy there last week. And here we are kind of failing out the bottom of it right now. So that structure is kind of what I'm going to take all of the context in this week, kind of watching to see what's going to happen. Even when we come down to the hourly, you'll be able to see that gap pretty well. And the gap is actually from all the way up here. I want to point that out. So on Friday, we closed with an up candle. This is the hourly chart now. So we had an hourly up bar for the close. So our close was actually all the way up here around 26. It was actually 26.50, 53.2650 on ES. So our gap down was all the way down to here. So I'm watching this whole gap, even though we closed about half of it. It was almost exactly half. I think we were one tick off a halfway closing that gap. So these are all the kind of levels that I'm watching initially this week to see how we're going to react to this gap, how we're going to react to that midpoint level up there. We're already kind of finding resistance on this, or support rather, on this wick from Thursday. That's kind of what I'm watching initially for the market open. I know that Forrest probably has a good eye on NASDAQ. Are you seeing something kind of similar?
Yeah.
Let's take a look.
Maybe Forrest, if you can just kind of introduce yourself a little bit again, and then talk to us about NASDAQ.
Sure. So I'm Forrest Knight. Been trading for 8, 9, or 10 years. Can't remember. One of these days I'll actually go and look. But got my start really working as a software engineer at a retail brokerage. So got access to kind of the financial markets early on. And then, throughout my career, started trading more and more and more. And eventually I became a day trader, right? Really executing inside of a 24-hour cycle. Today I trade futures, options, equity options, index options, things like that. So my trading style, by the way, right? So I trade the volume profile, what we call the VPE, volume profile edges. If we go to the weekly on NQ, we can see that the beginning of this kind of down candle was this node higher that I've been mentioning, and we're racing through this low value area right here. So there's two major nodes. There's this major node here, then there's a major node below. Why do the nodes matter? Well, those are people, right? The charts are a story of people's decisions, right? We can see their basis, right? We know that there's a ton of people who probably went long down here, and there's a ton of people, in a mixed bag position up here in the middle of this weekly range. Nonetheless, low value, there's less people here. We're racing through this little peak here, 18,100s. So on the downside, I'd look for at least 17,564, if not, the other side of the small node here, 17,227. Really, it's been the same kind of thesis for me on the weekly. On the lowers, we've kind of been managing the ebb and flow, but yeah, so that story is the same. We're kind of just running through it on the 4-hour. You can see here, again, similar. We have the highs, lower high, lower high, lower high, right? So I could draw a trend line here. Let's just go ahead and do that. It would look something like that. We'll get rid of it just so it doesn't clutter up the chart. There's a lot of stuff on there already right now. We just swept this, what is this, Wednesday low? We had a shortened week yesterday, last week. So yeah, let's see as we come into the open here, are we going to keep running lower energetically, or just to the bottom of this low value area, or is it going to respect some of these sweeps and mean revert? It's Monday, so not really looking for anything crazy here, but we'll see. Maybe something crazy happens and I'll get in regardless.
All right. Couple really good questions out of the chat. Tariffs. We saw a couple people asking about tariffs. Obviously, there's not like any hard news out right now. But as you both are looking at some of these longer time horizons, and the tariff situation is going on, does a threat of impending tariffs or more news coming out down the line really change how you think about things? Does it make you more cautious? Does it make you more aggressive? Or is it you wait for the news, you're responsive to the news, and otherwise keep your thesis per usual?
Want to go first,
well, I
Barbie?
guess I can kind of start on that one. There's definitely a lot of caution around tariffs, and I talked about this I probably on one of my lives recently, but I'm gonna, since y'all are probably new to this, what I was kind of looking at, and if I look at the daily, this shows it pretty well. We were in a pretty clear uptrend way back here. It's just very clearly an uptrend, and then we got this candle right here, and this is when we started. Is this the one? I think I'm on the wrong one. It was one of these ones over here. We started getting the bad news about tariffs. Like, we knew the tariffs were coming, but we didn't really know what they were going to look like. And then over here, we started getting, okay, this tariff thing is not exactly what everyone was expecting. We don't really know what this tariff thing is. And so we started getting a downtrend. Then we started getting a really, really aggressive downtrend when we started hearing more of the uncertainty. So that's what it is. Like, we knew these tariffs were coming. We got a little bit of a down move, but the market kind of recovered. But in here, we've just had just hammering more and more tariff stuff. And it's the uncertainty. It's is it going to be 20%? Is it going to be 200%? There's a lot of back and forth on the tariffs. And so that definitely puts a lot of caution on the market. And that's why we've been selling. Somebody who doesn't want to be holding through any risk is going to sell and just avoid all of this. I'm looking for opportunities to buy. And I know there's a lot of talk like, is the bottom in? Is the bottom not in? Either way, as far as my long-term and equity goes, there's a lot of stuff on sale right now. And so I'm looking to kind of invest in that sort of thing. But when it comes to the day-to-day kind of day trading, dealing with it, the biggest way that it's affected my day trading is just because we're in this high period of high volatility and we're getting these massive ranges, I'm able to reduce my risk by taking less quantity, but then going for a bigger range. So it has my day trading has changed in that I'm looking for bigger moves where I might have been looking on ES, a nice move might be 10 or 20 points back in the day, back in 2024. But then this year, 10 or 20 points really feels like diamond handing. I almost had a 100-point play recently on ES, which is kind of crazy. So we've been getting 40, 50, 60 points. And at the same time, you don't want to have your stop loss based on that kind of move. So I have had to reduce my risk in how much quantity I'm taking, but I'm able to still capture a bigger part of the move to kind of make up for that. So what about you, Forrest? How are you adapting to kind of the crazy climate of tariffs?
Every day I roll out of bed and I'm freaking out. No, I'm not. So I think there's a lot. I think as speculators, right, especially if you're trading on the daily time frame, the most important impact is the VIX, right? Like you mentioned, we have increased volatility. Volatility is also from an investing standpoint, right? It tends to increase when there's more forward-looking uncertainty, right? So it goes together. So in terms of the tariffs, I think once, the administration gives strong forward-looking guidance around what's going to happen, it doesn't really matter what the tariff levels are. I think that the VIX will drop, right? So right now there's a lot of uncertainty. So we have increased volatility, which is great for day trading. This is like the day trading Olympics right now. I've had an amazing time since January trading. Now, my long-term portfolio, don't ask me about it. Absolutely.
We don't look at that.
So I think you can see here, like we had this downtrend too, right? Elevated VIX often correlated with downside. Obviously, we know that the up candles inside of this have been pretty fierce, right? So if we go to the daily, jump down from the monthly to the daily, in this downtrend, we've had some massive up candles. I mean, let's check out this one from the 9th, right? This was a 2,700 point day. That's pretty exceptional. But at the bottom here, we had 1,800 points. Even these candles inside of here, 500 point days on NQ, on the up candles inside this downtrend. So extremely, extremely, extremely volatile. Great for trading though. I mean, as you guys know or not know, I kind of like to trade inside of these higher time frame ebbs and flows. So for example, I think short biased, since we hit this node on the weekly, see that why that makes sense here, right? We went down 1,300 points or so. So if you would have just went short and if you just held long enough, right, you're making money. It makes sense you're trading the trend. Right now, I am expecting us to keep traversing this low value area that formed again on the weekly. So let's go back to here. These red boxes are me boxing out these major levels, right? So we came up to this area, retested it. I mentioned last week that we're probably going to retest a large part of this green candle. It's exactly what we're doing. It's also low value. There's your first layer of confluence. And so my macro target is, again, 17,541, regardless of the tariff situation. So just like all news, I think that the tariffs accelerate what's happening. I do think it does fundamentally change the market to a degree, just obviously due to the access of materials and global trade and blah, 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 blah. But I think it really just comes down to like, do we have good forward-looking guidance or does no one know what's going to happen? And right now we're in the latter where no one knows what's going to happen. So we have uncertainty. The VIX is elevated, markets go down. Pretty simple.
All right. I've got a couple things. I'm going to have a question for you all in a second here. But first, a note to you, audience, everyone out there watching. We got our folks on Instagram, our folks on X, our folks on YouTube. Here's the deal. I asked at the top of the show if free resets would be interesting to do this stream. We weren't sure if people like the free resets or if they'd rather us just spend the time that we do the free resets to focus in on the content and the ideas and the trading. It seems like there is interest in the free resets. So we'll do at least one, potentially more, but we need to get to 500 viewers on our YouTube first. So if you have not shared the stream, if you have not liked the stream, you have not subscribed, you have not logged in on all 4 of your computers, your iPad, your phone, whatever it is that you have, you are part of the problem. Share the stream, post it in Discord, post it on X. Let's rally it up to 500 viewers, and then we might be able to do our first reset giveaway with a future level to come. All right. Barbie, I want to give you one more. We got a great question out of the chat. I guess I'll preview a little bit of the show too. Every day on this show, we talk about ESNQ. We're going to have our most interesting chart of the day in a little bit here. The most interesting chart of the day. That's something that you all should be tuned into. We do an educational segment. We'll probably talk about VIX as we have been the last few days. And we've got a very special guest joining us. All of that right around the corner. But first, Barbie, a question for you out of the chat that I got. European banks are closed today amid the Easter holiday. Does that do anything for you or affect trading in the U.S. at all? Is it a non-issue, etc.?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I am kind of trying to get some brownie points here. I did share in the Discord, so we shared the stream.
Okay, good.
But yeah, so in general, I was looking at this week, it's kind of slower on the news calendar in general. So yeah, it's a good point about having the bank still closed in Europe. And then today there was basically nothing of interest on the planned news calendar that caught my interest at all. So a lot of the times, I'm going to go over to my daily chart to show you what I'm looking at. Or no, we'll go to an hourly. A lot of the times when we have a really dry news period, we'll have an inside day, which we talked about last week, is just literally when the price stays. You can see where the volume is. It's these dark areas during the open hours where price will just stay like it did on Friday inside of the price action from a previous day. So it's interesting today that we're already trading outside of last week's low. So I'm really kind of watching that. So even though things are slower on the global market this morning for our open in the US, there are some things that are kind of showing me that we may not just be as stuck as we might normally be in those conditions. And that my first big clue is losing this low down here. So I'm really watching that low from actually that was Wednesday. I'm getting my days mixed up. This was Wednesday and Thursday, not Thursday and Friday, but since we had Friday off. So I'm really, really watching that low because I do pay attention to when we have slower news days and less of an impact kind of globally. But I'm also kind of balancing that with what the actual price action is doing. And right now, even though this would kind of set up as a slower day with the European banks closed and not a lot on the news, at least the planned news, this is kind of a sign that we might still be heading lower anyway today. So it's something that I take into consideration, but we've got to kind of look at the big picture here too. Look at all these.
Thank you, Barbie. Thank you. I saw that question too, and that was so relevant, I felt today. But now I have another question for Mr. Forrest. This question is coming from the chat, and the question was, are there any important NQ levels for today that you would like to mention?
There are. That is a great question. I don't know who asked that, but kudos to you.
Yeah.
Kudos to you, random internet stranger. All right, so levels. We'll jump down to the lowers. I want to reiterate once more how important the weekly time frame is. We'll always start there. If I could share, all the screens that I have, I would. I can only share one. I always have a high time frame chart up when I'm trading because it gives you the story about what's happening, right? If your story for the day is that we're going to go down 1,000 points and you look at your trade log and you've taken 5 longs, there's something wrong with you and you need to get that checked out. So my
Something
thesis
wrong
on
with you. That's strong.
I know
There's something wrong with you.
what they need. So we're racing through this level here. So the first important level is going to be this 19,225 in terms of important levels, right? This is a macro level called out, sometime last week, when it kind of the start of this story, right? So we're playing it out, right? We're racing through or retesting the body of this weekly candle, and we're in low value here. So the next important level is the shelf or the first edge of the next major volume profile node. So how do I know what the next major node is, right? This is where some of the art comes in, but I'm just looking at here. You could argue that it's just this. There's a huge delta in the amount of volume at these prices here, though, right? So the next major level on the downside is what I have marked as target 1, right? My macro target downside 1, 17,000 for we're on the weekly chart. So let's just call it 480. Okay. So, well, I won't label that twice, but you can see it on my chart. It's right there. If we get down to this price, I expect us to get what we call like a first touch reaction at minimum, right? We'll form a green candle here, probably of a couple hundred points. Then even if it breaks into this node and traverses this node next, that would be after reacting to this shelf. Okay, so let's go down to the lower time frames. Consider the 4-hour like a low time frame in this environment. There's a few key lows that we want to be aware of. So we'll actually just jump to the daily real quick. I've mentioned that there's 4 prices that I even look to execute every day, which is prior day high, okay, prior day low, which we've already taken out, and then overnight high and overnight low. So let's go to the 1 hour, see what the overnight formed for us. Very, very low volume Monday, by the way. So overnight low doesn't matter. It's already taken out. Overnight high is up here from really the open, right? So this level, and there's also this naked point of control up here. So in terms of levels for the day, prior day low, overnight low already taken out. So the only prices to really execute at would be a retest higher, right, of this naked POC up here. Get rid of one of these lines. I'll label this. So retest of that for like a day trade. But again, even on the 1 hour, you can see that we have highs that are descending, our lows are descending here on this time frame. And really, I just expect us to keep traversing that big weekly candle. So those are the only levels that I care about. We've already taken 2 out again, right? So we're either going to downtrend today on this expectedly slow Monday, or this thing is going to mean revert to that point of control here, probably at the open, and then maybe we'll push lower. But yeah, those are my thoughts on key levels.
Thank you, Forrest. That was insightful. Okay, so I know you guys have been wanting free resets, but Luke is going to come in here shortly and probably give you guys one. But we just want to say that there's a link in the chat for people who want to get started if they don't have an account. And this will actually help you guys to get free resets. And I believe Luke has already posted the link. So go ahead and look at it and grab it.
Wait, how expensive are the resets?
There it is.
They're free?
They're going to be free, I think. It depends. You called the level for us. 500 viewers. You set it on Thursday.
Let's
We're
go.
almost
Level
there.
holds. Very sticky level that we're looking for. So yes, I think the resets will be free. And as Adona said, if you don't have an account yet, there's a link in the chat to get started. Again, this is the prop firm created for you, the trader. Transparent, objective, easy to consume. So check that link out. It helps us all out. All right. With that, I would like to introduce one of our daily segments, which is the most interesting chart of the day. All right, everyone, we deliver for you the most interesting chart of the day. It's typically not ES or NQ or something that you're always looking at. You're already in top of. But Barbie delivers this for us. She spends the time doing the research to give you, again, the most interesting chart of the day. So Barbie, I'd like to send it over to you.
All righty. I had a few that I could pick from, but of course I couldn't say no to Tesla this morning. We have we have some big earnings this week. We're starting to kick off a big tech earnings season, but the first one that is really catching my eye, of course, is Tesla. And this has kind of been a bit of a meme stock lately. It used to be one of my favorites to trade. I was trading this every day in the options market when I first started trading around 2001, 2022. So it's still one that I always love to come back to. And of course, this is the hourly, so you can see how beat up this thing is right now. All the way down from way up here, mid 400s. We're all the way down to 230 in the pre-market right now. And we have earnings coming up tomorrow night. So a lot of the times when we have earnings coming on, we'll see a lot of extra volatility. This one, of course, has all the extra stuff going on because, so we've had slow EV sales, but then we're also wrapped up in the Trump trade war here on this one. So earnings tomorrow, and the expected move is supposed to be around 9%, a little over 9%. The average move on Tesla, I pulled out these kind of charts for you can kind of get a visual of it, but the average move in the past year has been over 12%. So it's definitely one that people will be watching. It's also one that you can get a lot of IV crush on because everyone is watching it like crazy. So the way that I probably won't end up playing it this week, to be honest, but I'll be watching it because it can be a market mover. And we can actually end up taking some after hours trades on ES and NASDAQ based on the movement that Tesla makes during the earnings announcement and guidance. So we are looking for a big move on this one. The gamblers will definitely be in the options market on this one, buying some out of the money calls and puts. The market has just opened here too. So I'll kind of wrap up my Tesla chat. I want to hear who else is looking at Tesla this week coming into earnings, and if y'all are actually playing it or if you're going to be kind of watching it and see what it does to the market.
All right. Question for the chat out there. If you like, everybody has to have an opinion, okay? This shows like a community, a family. I know we're only 4 days into it, but we're all, we've been marching through this together. We're brothers and sisters in trading, okay? You have to have an opinion. If you are bullish on Tesla, you would take it to the long side. Put a 1 in the chat. If you are bearish, you would take it down. Give us a 2 in the chat. Again, I'm looking for a 1 or a 2 on Tesla. Everybody has to have an opinion. Again, earnings are out this week. Barbie delivered for us the most interesting chart of the day.
Who's playing it?
Yes. If you're not giving an opinion, you're part of the problem. Looking for a 1 or a 2 in the chat.
It's opening up lower here too still. So there's going to be a lot of implied volatility on these Tesla contracts. Look at this big drop overnight too. There's our gap down.
Glowing. They're asking us to create.
I saw a few zeros, but I see a lot of 2s.
Yes. All right.
Sometimes on earnings, you have to kind of fade the expectation, though, too. You have to think if everyone's expecting it to move down and it's already moved down.
All right. We got a real poll in there, too, asking about bias on the day.
And now, is this bias for, this is for the market today, right?
For the market today, yes. Poll in the chat, market today. We opened, it's 9:32. Let's see where everybody's sitting. I'll also remind the group, we're up to 421 on our YouTube here.
Let's go.
You'll want the free resets. We're looking for 500. We may have some free resets. And again, if you don't have an account yet, I'm going to drop a link in the chat so you can get started. There's no activation fees, which if you have not started with MyFundedFutures yet, you may be used to these big, $200, $300, $400, $500 activation fees to get started. We don't have them. Really transparent, really simple to understand. So that link is in the chat as well. So if you're saying you don't have an account for the resets, you can at least get started with an account. Donut, I'm passing it over to you.
Thank you, Luke. Well, I'm seeing that a lot of people are going with one, which means bullish. So I see a lot of hope for the market today. I love that. But since we opened already, Barbie, I'm gonna have you share about your chart and just what you're looking for the trade today.
Sure. So I'll put my levels here. It's a messy chart today, but that's because I have a couple of gap levels that I'm still watching as well. I mentioned this this wick low from Wednesday. I think I called it Thursday because that was our Thursday last week with the Friday off, but I was watching this wick low. That's really our low on the week from last week too. So that's a pretty important low. So it makes a lot of sense that the market's kind of struggling getting below that at open here. So I'm watching that level. If we hold this level, then I'm looking for potentially to fill this gap up here. So the gap begins at 52.8650. It's these yellow levels up here. So the 52.8650 is the bottom, and then 53.2650. And like I was talking earlier, and just how massive these ranges are in the market, that's just a normal Sunday gap for us today. But so if we end up holding this level, I'm looking to kind of get pulled back into there with, I put a magnet level on this overnight high because it was almost the midpoint of this gap. So there's definitely some algos playing in there. If we cannot hold this low, and right now it looks like we're trying to lose it. We've got a mixed bag though. I'm looking at NASDAQ and it's trying to pump up and ES is trying to move down, which really shows me we're not ready to really move off this level just yet. But if we do move down lower through it, the first major target I have down there is the 5,200 level. I thought I had another one in here, but it's not showing up on this chart. There should be another level in here. I think it was around the 51.76 or 80 in here would be kind of the next smaller level down. But if we start breaking through 5,200, we could get really ugly real fast. So that's definitely a level to watch there on ES. Well, my candles went away. Where'd they go?
Also, Barbie, what do you think about gold?
Oh, I was looking at gold. That one almost made chart of the day today. I'll pull it up on my chart of the day chart. Well, let's do it this way. Well,
also, guys, we really want to give you a free reset. So let's go ahead.
To get to 500.
Yeah, I'm like, we want to. So I hope we hit the mark. We're almost there. We're getting so close.
Yeah, gold has just been, I'm on a 5-minute chart here. So this is like really intraday, but this is the other thing is I almost pulled this one this morning because it's just been breaking new highs and breaking new highs and breaking new highs. So this is basically today, but if I pull out the hourly, it really looks the same. Just new highs, new highs. This is something to kind of watch because, well, I think gold is kind of having its own moment right now on top of that, just because it's breaking new highs. But why is gold breaking new highs? That's something to kind of pay attention to. And the way I look at it is if I was fortunate enough to be an investor with loads and loads and loads of funds that I needed to put somewhere to keep safe and make money, if I'm a little bit nervous about the market because the indexes are making crazy moves and potentially still moving lower, there's a couple places that I could look, and one of them's bonds and the other one's precious metals like gold. So I think that's part of what's going on here. You can think of Bitcoin too. A lot of people kind of rotate into Bitcoin, but Bitcoin's a little more complicated these days. So we're kind of looking at gold. I have to switch over here. I just noticed this major move down. So once NASDAQ and ES kind of got on the same board here, they are making that move lower. So, and these are quant levels I have on here. So we're coming down into the quant level on ES there, or in around the 30 level. And then NASDAQ has one down there around 18,000. So a little ugly on this open right now. I got distracted from gold on the candles, but
No, that was great. Yeah, and I think we're getting really close to free reset. So yay, keep it going, guys.
less than
And then
20 on my screen. So let's
yeah,
go.
that's what I'm seeing. And everyone's so encouraging, and I'm like, yes, we're almost there. But until we get there, I'm gonna bring Forrest in, and maybe you can tell us about your chart and what trade you're looking at today.
Yeah. So right now I'm looking to see how we develop this session kind of node here on the volume profile. If we continue to build value lower here, this will start to downtrend on this Monday. You can see here that it kind of immediately rejected. Let's zoom back out. I just had I don't know where that box went, but we just swept this low, right? So we have this low from Wednesday where we're opening a little bit lower here. We need to really see what's going to happen in the next 30 minutes here, right? If we keep putting in new lows like prior to 10 a.m., then we'll probably just at 10, continue lower is my anticipation. The question I have though is if we go to like the 1 hour here, you see how this is a pretty clear test of this price. Is it going to come back to this previous session POC, right? What I call naked. It's an untested point of control from the previous day. That would be a very obvious kind of range day, inside day target, right? 388, which means this would probably be the best place to long on the day, right? If that is correct. So if you wanted to take a long on the day, this would be about the price. You have some tight risk, basically the low of the day, 18,060. Otherwise, right, very, very likely if we keep putting in lows, it's going to keep racing lower to at least this 919, or sorry, 921, but probably through it, in my opinion. But just watching right now, just watching.
Yeah, especially I think this Monday has been a little bit harder. Maybe it's coming off of the holiday last week, but it's not really been setting up for me to take anything yet this morning at all. I did play the Sunday Open a little bit. I'm kind of glad I did because this is kind of working out to be slow so far. But
yeah. All right,
I'm definitely in observation mode this morning too.
Yeah,
I'm going to interrupt you guys. I'd like to apologize, first of all, to the audience that we're going to take a break from the charts in the ideas, in the content, the education, the levels, the news, everything that we do. And we spend so much time preparing on to make you a better trader. But we will take a break for that in order to give away a few free resets.
Uh-oh.
Are you ready? Can we get a RDY in the chat? RDY, if you're ready. I need to make sure people are ready. I just dropped it in there. RDY. Code is about to flow onto the screen. There it goes. It's flying. Showtime. SHOWTIME. Code is Showtime. 50 of you out there are getting free resets. And I just got word from Madonna that we can actually do a second round of free resets later this stream. Yes. She just called me, told me, all right, we can do a second one. Code is Showtime. It's up on the screen now. If 100 more people want free resets, we're looking for 650 on the viewer count. Okay, 650. If you want free accounts, stay tuned. I'll have to talk to Adona and see if we can do free accounts at the end of the stream, all right? If another 100 of you out there are looking for it, we're looking for 650 on the YouTube. Like, subscribe, share, post it in your Discord, post it in your X. You ask, we deliver. We've talked about so many symbols, so many time horizons, so many levels today. We're approaching the period where Barbie and Forrest each like to start thinking about taking trades. 10 a.m. Is a time that they've explained to us in the past that they look for when they get into trading mode. Things have settled a little bit off the open. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome Donna back onto the stream to intro our next segment.
Thank you, Luke. Yay. And I hope you guys grab those free resets. We are so happy to give them away. But now it's time for our next segment of the day. And this is going to be one where Bull Barbie and Forrest do an educational lesson for us. Something that we need to know, something that we can learn, something new for us to take and use in our own trading, right? So I'll bring you in, Barbie, first. And can you tell us what your educational lesson of the day is?
Since it's Monday, I wanted to talk about kind of how I approach a new week. I think when I first started, I was always trying to just treat a Monday like any other day. But we have new data on a Monday, and I always look to higher time frame charts to make my analysis for what I'm going to do for the week. So I like to start on the weekly, and the reason that I like to start on the weekly is these are going to be the strongest levels. I know Forrest talks about the high, low, open, close. I watch those levels too. And the higher the time frame that we're on, the stronger those levels are going to be. So I always start just literally looking at the weekly chart because there's a lot of information that we can get here. It's pretty clear if we can look if we're in an uptrend. Back here, we're pretty clearly in an uptrend. Right now, we're pretty clearly in a downtrend, because then anything else that I take on a smaller time frame, I want to put in the context of we're in a downtrend on the strongest, highest time frame that I'm kind of looking at here. So even though we had this gap down, I'm still looking at that basic structure. And then I can also take these levels and count these as my highest levels. These are the ones that when I mark my levels out, these are the ones that are super bold and super strong. I make them bolder and thicker because they're stronger, and they're stronger because they're the weekly levels. So you can see right here, this wick, and this was at 51.11, held price over here too. So that's another level that we need to watch if we get down to that area. So after I just kind of get this broad context and the most strong levels that I can find off the weekly chart, and that'll be these wicks, and that'll be where these bodies get stuck and kind of form little plateaus. Those will be all of those weekly levels that I'm really looking at. And then if I dive down into the daily, the first observation that I like to make is, as I'm moving down the time frames, am I in the same mode as I was on the higher time frames? So in the weekly, we were in a pretty clear downtrend. Is this supporting or contradicting that? So now we have agreement between the weekly and the daily on what the mode the market is doing. And when I say mode, I mean uptrend, downtrend, or sideways consolidation. So back here, consolidation, here, downtrend, here, uptrend. This is another place where you can just start out taking that very basic idea, looking at what mode the market is in. And then I do the exact same thing, and I just start looking at where these major levels stop. So lots of touches here. We've got candle bodies and candle wicks, so I would mark that level. And this is literally just how I approach every week. And I do this week after week after week, just marking where all of these major levels, where the market has the strongest reaction. So right now we have a major daily zone, and this is over a 300 or over a 500 point zone, but that is kind of a zone that we're working in. And then the smaller time frame you come down in, the more you kind of want to watch for, are we in agreement or are we in disagreement? Because then what you can look at, so if we're in a downtrend and you start coming into a chart, this one's not a good example. Let me see if I can get it on the hour. No, we're not going to have a good example. But what you can do is, if we have a chart, we can say it was last week. So this 4-hour chart, while we're in a downtrend on the weekly and the daily, if the 4-hour is in an uptrend and coming up to a major level like this, this is the kind of level that will look to reverse. And then this can become a swing trade or a day trade, because you can swing trade this for multiple days, or you can day trade inside of the context of this swing trade, if that makes sense. Because if you're in a swing trade to the downside and then you make a day trade within that day trade supported by the swing trade is the way I look at it. So that's what I'm kind of looking at there. This is, if we were here, this would have been a great short to start targeting these levels down here. So that's kind of how I approach every week. I'm not looking to just hit everything right off the bat. when I come into the market fresh on Monday, because the way I think it, there's a lot of participants in the market coming in fresh on Monday, and they've come in with kind of maybe some hindsight and some new ideas and things. And I want to wait until they have finished that thought so that I'm not in the way of it. Because if someone's got a lot more money than me, my little trade can get eaten up by their order pretty quickly. So right now we are still getting that downtrend within the daily downtrend, within the weekly downtrend. At the same point, when I'm being patient, I'm waiting for the market to come to one of those levels. And there's a lot of different ways you can look at the levels. Some people think of them as edges, and some people think of them as just clear support and resistance. Then you'll have trend lines, or order blocks from last week. But it's all kind of the same idea. Once we have that context for what the market is doing, then we just wait for the market to come to those areas where we're watching that we mark on the higher time frame charts. So. And I do have a more detailed video on how I do this if you want to go hunt it up on my channel about how I do all of this analysis.
Yeah. You can go ahead and give your channel to the guests as well, so people know where to find you.
Yeah, so that I mostly hang out on YouTube. So if you search for Bull Barbie on YouTube, you'll find it, but it's officially Bull Barbie Trading on YouTube. So I do have, I think it's like a 20-30 minute video on. I actually recorded myself doing this on Monday morning. So
that's amazing.
If you want to see people of me actually doing it, I have that on my channel as well.
Also, I wanted to note that guys in the chat, the free resets are going to be for the first 50 people who claim it. So you got to be fast and get it. And I also did see a comment about potentially doing numbers instead of letters for people who don't speak English. And I'm sure we can accommodate and do something for that as well. Now I wanted to bring Forrest in.
I'm here.
And yay, Forrest. So we know that you like to trade between the hours of 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. You feel like those are your best times. So now, since we're approaching 10 a.m., what do you see on the chart?
Yeah. And so just to clarify, I like to trade at 10 a.m. and at 2 p.m., not necessarily between them. So really, that's the formation of the 4-hour candles and really the 2-hour candles, right? If you look also day to day, there's often a 10 a.m. pivot. And there's often around 2, it could be 2:30. There's a pivot. I also trade. There's a setup that I call like just gamma setups, which is really just utilizing gamma and options in the afternoon whenever I'm trading zeros. And I like to use 2 p.m. kind of as my read on that, right? If I was going to take a trade with futures, then I'll consider taking an options trade. Otherwise, I won't do anything. But right now, you can see this 4-hour candle is lacking volume because my volume's off for some reason. This candle is always going to be higher volume than the previous candle because of the time of day that it is, but that's still important, right? So when all the players show up to play the game, what do they decide? So right now we have a 1, 2, 3, 4th candle, right, since the Sunday settlement open, right? So we went down, some auction happened, we ultimately went lower. Some auction happened, we ultimately went lower. And so if I'm trying to trade a trend or some micro trend, that's pretty important. I do want to be aware of the fact that there's some lows over here that we're sweeping and retesting as well. But inside of this session, right, there is this point of control, right? That's the price within this session where the most people have played the game today, right? That's above us, and it stayed above us. I imagine if you plot a VWAP, it's somewhere in here as well. I'm not going to turn it on. It's pretty easy to visualize right now. It's going to be around the same price. So as long as we stay lower and continue to build value below this key level in today, we're probably going to push lower unless right around 10:15, we'll get a strong green candle to level us out a bit. If that doesn't happen here in the morning, it's not going to happen in the afternoon, right? It's kind of a way to think about that. And if it doesn't happen in the afternoon, it leaves you with a, smaller set of possibilities that you can trade off of. So kind of rambling now, but to answer your question, that's what I'm thinking about right now coming to 10. Close of this candle, to take a look at the 2-hour. Okay, we have some speckled up candles in there, but again, just downtrend coming into retesting these previous lows here. And I'll say it one more time because it's super important. As someone who trades a volume profile, I care about where volume is formed. I don't care about the fact that a transaction happened. I want to know where are the most transactions happening, because that's where the most people are positioned, and where the most people are positioned is going to be max profit and max pain on any given time interval, right? So that's why I trade and look for those edges defined by the volume profile. And we're pushing a little bit lower here. So,
I was watching that earlier, kind of testing those wicks down there lower today.
Yep, we've got this really from the, let's actually zoom out a little bit to the daily. So these were kind of the market. You can see these long bottom wicks, you know, that you were talking about as well, Barbie. These essentially are, when they're on the daily, I do consider them kind of imbalances. So very often on NQ, you can see like how often these wicks get retested. You could trade on NQ. Honestly, it's something I talk about in my community. Like these wicks are almost like there's a trade set up there, right? Because they will get retested on NQ so freaking often. So if you can confluence that with some of the other probably better mechanics of trading, like volume profile, like I've been mentioning, it's really easy to capture.
When you have an imbalance like that on the daily, it ends up showing up on the volume profile too, right? So that'll give you some nice levels to play in there.
Exactly. So if I switch this on, you can see these wicks. All of this is if we boxed out all of these wicks here that are overlapping.
I saw someone asking what that volume was on the right of your chart too. Maybe you should make sure everyone knows what volume profile is too, because that's one of my favorite tools. I know you have it on all your charts. I keep it on my higher time frame charts.
Yeah. So I trade. I've went around the block with trading. I've been trading for a long time. I can trade just off the VP and like nothing else, right? So a lot of the things that I add is really just so people can see what I'm seeing, but very often I'm just trading off of it.
And real quick, Forrest, will you just show us how you add the volume profile on TradingView?
Yeah. So if you want to add it, go to indicators. The ones that I use are VRVP, visible range volume profile. And what the visible range volume profile does, it calculates a volume profile for whatever is visible on my screen right now, right? So that's why you can see me pivoting and moving in and around. Hopefully it's not distracting, but I try to put like major pivots on my screen. So this low here on the weekly, right? I'll start my analysis from that pivot low. I always try to use some major pivot in the market to calculate this. I like it because it's convenient instead of dragging around the time frames. The other one that you see me use is the session volume profile, which doesn't work on the daily. Let's go to the 4 hour. So if I turn on the session volume profile, it's going to give me a volume profile per session. So what is the volume profile? It tells you volume at prices, which is different from volume at time, right? So this x-axis down here tells us how many people showed up to play trading in the 4 hour interval starting at 10 a.m. last Thursday, right? That's what this volume bar is. It tells you how many people played here at 10 a.m. Well, what if you asked a different question? If you said, Forrest, how many people played the game at 18,382 ever? Well, that's a very different question. I'd have to go back and scan across the market. So the volume profile is always gated by some time frame, right? I use the session and then I use the visible to try to figure out which prices are the most important, because I'm an auction market theory trader. And the reason why that matters is if the analogy that I always give is like, if you're a car dealer and you have 100 Toyotas that you have to sell like tomorrow, you need to get rid of these Toyotas. And then you go and look at the market and you see that 80% of Toyotas transacted at 30K. Where are you going to list your cars for sale, right? You're either going to do right at 30K or you're going to go undercut it by a little bit, right? And that need to undercut these major levels because you know where most people are positioned is exactly how people play on both sides of the volume profile, right? It just makes sense, right? If you wanted to make more money, but it's going to take a little bit longer, you'd list your cars at like 35K, knowing that there's going to be less people willing to transact with you there, right? So it's immensely important. Obviously, I'm extremely biased, but that's because it makes me money. And it's literally the only thing that I use now. I used to have like the EMAs and stuff overlaid, and like I'll look at them once a month, but it just, if I know where people are positioned, I know what's going to happen when we get to their prices.
It kind of gives you information on both axes, so you can kind of compare where volume is over time and over price. And with both that information, you can really get good levels. I really like volume profile too.
Yeah.
And I've always liked kind of the
Barbie.
value ranges. Yeah.
We did it. We got to 650.
Let's
Does that
go.
mean we get to give the people more of what they want?
I think that means we get to give the people more of what they want. We called it. We said at 650 on our YouTube, we are giving away another round of accounts. If you are interested in a free reset, which I think everybody is, I'll give you this heads up. You need to be subscribed to our YouTube channel to be eligible. So I'll stall for a second here. Take some time to subscribe. Da 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 da. Just singing a song, so you all have a second to subscribe. All right.
Keep singing.
Da, da, da. I almost made it in showbiz in a dream that I had. But all right. Load up your browser. Get ready. Code is going on the screen now. Free resets. ERQ2. It's Echo Romeo Quebec, the number 2. The shortest code yet. Make it even faster for you to claim your free reset. 100 of you out there are getting free accounts. Grab them now. Time is ticking. Da, 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 da. And Barbie, I got to ask you an important question.
All right.
Should we do a third round of giveaways for another 100 people at the end of the stream?
Obviously, I always say give the people what they want.
Are you sure?
I want to trade with the new chat. Let's do it.
All right. Forrest looks excited.
I was born excited. I'm wrong.
All right. All right. Well, without further ado, we're going to welcome a very special guest onto our stream in a second here. We're going to talk trades. We're going to talk his background, what he thinks of the market today. We'll do a little more giveaways. We'll have some final thoughts. So stay tuned. Plenty of content. Again, everything that it takes to make you a better trader is right around the corner. Mr. TG, if you're ready, can I get a thumbs up? I can see him, but you all can't. All right, thumbs up. Welcome him onto the stream. Tyler, what is going on, my friend?
What's up, guys? How we doing?
Happy Monday, sir.
Happy Monday. It's the best day of the week.
Oh, yeah?
Best day of the week. I'm actually, give me 1 second. I'm literally going to close this trade right now. Hold on.
Oh my God, it's so
He's coming in here with the energy today.
Oh,
I
was in a NASDAQ short right now, and I just closed it just now.
Wait, all right. Let's start.
So let's talk through it, and I'll go through everything. Okay.
All right. Would you mind sharing your screen?
Yes. Let me share my screen. Hold on here. Give me 1 sec. Okay. Sorry.
All right.
Bear with me. It's my first time. So
welcome.
How am I gonna? Where's the share screen button?
So you should see a button that says present at
present.
the bottom of your
Got
page.
it. Got it. Okay.
And then you got to click
share
whatever
screen.
it is.
Okay. Allow. And
I had to hop in a short there too. That was too tempting because we were breaking the 15-minute opening range and those lows.
I'm going to explain my entire analysis.
I can't wait
here.
to hear. I want to see exactly where your entry was.
Okay. Why can't I share my trading view though?
Go to window, share window.
Share window.
So like when you hit present,
it's open system preferences.
Yeah, you gotta. You're gonna have to press that and then hit like accept on whatever this app is.
Yeah, I did that.
You might have to leave and rejoin.
Okay.
This short is still printing too.
I know. I knew it was going to be a big one.
Beautiful.
Here, why don't we cut to Barbie's screen for a second? Well,
yeah.
I don't have the trade up on there, but I do have NASDAQ and ES.
You know what? Can I flip my screen? I have my big monitor right behind me.
Try it.
Maybe.
Hold on.
Oh yeah, there you go. Forrest got it.
I know. No, I really want to show you guys. I
I'm
just don't
watching
know how to
it,
do
and
it.
Why don't you try refreshing and rejoining, Tyler?
Okay. Give me 1 sec.
Yeah, we'll
I
be
think
here.
he was saying that he was in NASDAQ, so I'll just kind of show on ES a little bit. I was watching, this is the first bar, second bar, third bar, so I was watching this break of the 15-minute range here while it was at a magic level too, and so I just had to take that. But I'm really hoping it can get down to 5,200. That's the level that I've been looking at for the complete downside target, but I'm just kind of trailing a runner down here right now. I took most of my profits up here around the 20 level. Okay. I want to hear exactly how he took it on NASDAQ, though. This NASDAQ one is dumping pretty hard.
And you said
fire lines level on here.
And you said 5,200 on ES?
Yeah, so 5,200 has come up in a few different ways on ES. I don't have that. I don't have my labeled charts. Let me see if I can pull that up fast. But there was a lot of confluence there, and it was coming up on multiple time frames too. So we also have a swing low down there from last week.
All I'm saying is my downside target, 17,477.
17.4. Oh.
Can you guys see my screen now? It's working.
Yeah, you're sharing the wrong window.
Can you see?
But you're sharing something now, which
Can
is
you see
like
my trading view or no?
No.
Dang it.
Almost.
Yes.
Oh, wait, hold on. Stop sharing, present, share screen, window.
We've got VIX kind of ticking up intraday here too, kind of bouncing off that 30 level we were talking about last week. But these first, second, third targets are quant level targets that I have here too. So we're hitting all of those too. There's only 3 of them. So this is a pretty aggressive move on the day.
This is a great move right now.
So
okay, wait. Hold on. This should be working right now. Hold on here. Hold on. Okay, now if I go back here, share. Do you see it?
We got it.
Bada boom.
Look at that. Okay. So let's discuss.
Yeah.
So I got a few things going on here. I don't want you guys to get confused, but I'm gonna give it to you as simple as possible. Okay, so right now for me personally, I'm always trading off of the higher time frames. They're telling the narrative of the story, and I don't want to get lost in the lower time frames because there's a lot of noise in the markets, and it's not something that it ever worked for me like psychologically, and it actually hindered my progress in trading a lot. So once I started scaling up in the time frames and then looking at the overall broader picture, and I started aligning time frames like the 30-minute with the 4-hour and the daily, then I really started to see a lot of success. So knowing that, let's go into it here. So my first thing when I'm coming to the markets is, what am I looking for? I'm looking at the overall narrative. What's the overall narrative here? This is my 200 EMA here. So if I'm below the 200 EMA, my bias is strictly short. Strictly. I'm not looking for longs. Me personally, I'm not. And let's see the daily as well. The daily, I'm below the 200 EMA. And this is a setting that I made on the Bollinger Bands. It's actually a setting that I made like just based off experience. It actually really works well for me. I know like indicators aren't the best, but this for me, along with ICT concepts, really, really helped bring my trading to the next level. So for my bias alone, I'm looking to go short in the markets here. Why? Because the daily is below the 200 EMA. The 4 hours also below. Okay. So I know I'm only looking for shorts. If I don't see a short opportunity, I'm not trading. That's it. I keep it very simple. Now, what did I see today to enter myself into the trade? Okay. So this is my Asian range here. I just like to mark out my session. So that's Asia. Coming in here, I just mark out London session to opening of New York, like ending of London to beginning of New York. So what did I see today when I came to the market? I knew I had a bearish bias, right? So I'm seeing this. When I get it, if you get a FVG printing at 3 a.m. is what I noticed. Based on my back testing, I have all this data in my journal, is that when I get a strong fair value gap printing like this in London, and then if you could see it's small, but it's still a fair value gap, then I get this something that I call what I came up with. I call it a trident pattern. So essentially I'm getting this rejection of the 50% of the fair value gap. If you could see here, this is a strong wick rejection, and it shows that price wants to go lower. So I'm like, okay, so now I have 3 confirmations. So I'm interested in getting short if I can come back up here. So I just waited until, look, at this 7 a.m. candle, we had a lot of volume come in. We pushed up here. This is all manipulation right here. This wick right here, entirely manipulation, the whole entire move. And I knew that. My stops would be somewhere here, basically this wick or this body. That's where I have my stop loss. I use more of a mental stop loss. And I'm just targeting. Normally, I hold it until 12 o'clock. Like you could see, this is still dumping. And it's going to continue. That basically, I was in on gold longs and I was in on these shorts. I made, between this and my Apex accounts, I'm up like $5,000 today.
What about your MyFundedFutures accounts?
MyFundedFutures accounts right now, they're up pretty big. I haven't even checked them. Let me check them right now, actually.
All right, that's what we want to know.
We need some game porn.
Let's see.
If you nailed the gold move and the NASDAQ short, we definitely need some game porn.
Let's see here. Let me go. I'm going to have to see it on my big computer. Give me 1 sec. Okay. MyFundedFutures. I just took a payout. It was $11,000 between 2 accounts. It was like $5,000 each. So I gave myself the $2,100 buffer. I actually took a few small losses, but this trade should have put me back. And what's really good is that, honestly, I tell everybody this, MyFundedFutures expert plans are the best plans and evals in the entire space. I don't care what anybody says. They're the best. No consistency rules, pass in one day. You know, you can let your runners win, take advantage of those big moves in the market. That's what I like to do. So to me, I tell everybody, if you don't have these plans, you got to reevaluate because they're the best in the game. And I'm hoping that after my next payout, maybe I can get moved to a live account. So I have like $11,000 in payouts. I'm hoping I can get another big one and then make it to like a live account. That's my goal. Because
all right, and I'm going to drop a link in the chat. If you're listening to this man, you see the energy he has. He's checking for us how much he's up today.
I'm up right now. I'm up $1,300 on between 2 accounts. So a little over 3,000, close to $3,000.
There you go.
Not bad.
So, it's a good day, yeah. And honestly, I only took 3 micros on this trade. So believe it or not, that's it.
That's the crazy thing about these ranges is I've been able to use micros where I used to have to use minis.
Listen, I trade minis and it's a lot for me. You know,
these days it's hard.
It's too much psychologically for me to trade minis. I don't know. I don't like it. I know that. Listen,
a year ago, fine. Now it's crazy.
The volatility is nuts. You know, you could do so much with a couple micros. You don't need more than that.
I love it.
Yeah,
this is trading Olympics right now.
I know, it's amazing. It's literally, you guys have no idea. The 3-day weekend, I was like, oh, I hated it. I hated it. I was ready. I was ready to attack Monday. I was like, oh, I saw this setup and I knew right away. Because for me, I try to tell everybody this, you have to have years and months and everything journaled in your data. Literally, my entire life is in this book right here. I don't use TradeZella or anything. Everything that I've ever needed to know in the markets is in this book right here. Literally, this made me.
I agree. Notebooks for the win.
Yes, writing something down. Whoever's watching this right now, you need to know that the power of writing things down is so much stronger than you're going to get typing it. I promise you. The connection to you writing your goals, your dreams, all your, your technical analysis, all your setups, all what I was going through emotionally in my trades, everything is written in this book. Everything. And this book is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. All my A+ setups are in this book. You know what I mean? Everything.
Tyler, what do you write down? What's your routine? When do you write it down? What are you writing down?
So basically I'm not journaling as much as I used to because I've come to the point where my trading now for me is second nature because I've done the same thing over and over and over again. I always make refinements, but when I'm coming in and I really want to journal is now I'm journaling, what I'm looking to do within the next year. And it's basically a manifestation journal for me. So everything that I wrote in this book, I've achieved. I made 6 figures in a month. I did, I wanted to be on stuff like this, like everything that I've ever wanted in my life. I moved to my dream apartment in Miami from New York. Everything that I wrote in this book, it happened. You guys got to understand the power of writing things down is unmatched. So what I really look for is like when I want to journal something, I'm going, okay, how did this candle close at this specific time? Like everything that happens, every single candle that closes for me on the 30-minute time frame is telling a different story and narrative in the market. How the candle closes, what time. I write every single thing down in this book. It's like people don't understand. It's way more than technical analysis for me. The time of the day that you come to the market is crucial. You should not be trading outside of your window. I have a small window of about 5 hours that I'm trading. If I don't see an A+ setup and it's not in line with my bias for the day, I'm not trading. I can go 2 weeks without a trade. It happens to me all the time. So there's the problem is with most people is that you feel the need to be in the market all the time. And that's the worst thing that you could ever do. The most money I've ever made in my life is when I took like about 1 or 2 trades a month. I swear to God.
I believe it.
Scaling back and doing less is more. It really is.
Well, that's because you're focusing. When you're focusing, it's like quality over quantity, which has always been in my business prior to trading too. That's always been my mentality is quality over quantity. And I think that that's exactly what you're doing.
Yeah. Like everyone's got their, and this is what I try to tell everyone is that there's not one size fits all model for everyone. The way I trade and the way I see the markets will in no way be the same that you guys see the markets. This is just what works for me and my personality. And you need to find that. It's crucial. So listen, I have friends that are micro scalpers and they do really well at it. It's just for me, it doesn't suit my personality. It gives me too much anxiety. I'm too attached to the trade at that point. Everybody has their own strengths and weaknesses in the market, and it's extremely crucial for you to journal these things down and know that your edge in the market is yourself. And you need to know what are the qualities that make you a good, successful trader.
So how did you figure that out for yourself? And how long did it take you?
I failed over and over and over again. I've tried every single thing in the book, everything. Every struggle that a trader went through, I went through way worse. I promise you, there were times where I couldn't pay my rent. My girlfriend was paying my rent because I was blowing challenges left and right. I done the lower time frame stuff. There was a point in time where I saw ICT do something on the 15-second time frame, and I was doing that. I was losing my mind.
Yeah, 15 seconds.
And then I was like, this is not working for me. And then I was like, all right, let me scale back and let me analyze less candles. But throughout those candles, what's telling the story? And then once I scaled that back and I was like, okay, let me focus on a smaller amount of candles and a less frequent amount of time in the markets. And then I could really just focus on like the A+ qualities that would, present in the perfect market setting. Mm-hmm. And then from there, I really started seeing a lot of success, and it was fast. And after that, when I started failing a lot, I actually took a break from like getting accounts and, doing funded challenges. And I was like, this is something that I need to do for myself. And I took about like 6 to 8 months just focusing on back testing. And, I watched a lot of ICT. I know people can say what they want about him, but, he really changed the way that I came to the markets. Like he made me successful. He really did. I know some people could say what they want about him, but for me, he stressed. And what I watched throughout his videos is that the time you come into the market is way more important than any price action that you're going to see. If you're not aligning price with time, you're doing yourself a huge disservice in the markets,
Okay.
Tyler, what's your routine look like? So I'm a huge journaler myself. I love that you started with that. And nice to meet you, man. I'm here in Miami, by the way. I'm curious.
You are? Yo, we got to meet up, bro.
Yeah, man. Come through my have you been to the Move?
No. Where in Miami are you? I'm in Midtown.
I'm in Midtown, dude.
No way. Get out of here.
Can you yeah, I'll drop you my contact in a second.
Yeah, bro, for sure. We got to meet up. That's crazy. I love that. I'm trying to meet more people in the industry because I came here, I left all my friends, my family, and I'm starting fresh. So it's nice to meet people that are also in the industry. That resonates a lot with me because I want to surround myself with people who are doing the right stuff. So yeah, it'd be an honor for me to come and hang out with you, bro.
One of my alerts just hit. I don't know if you guys heard that, but
I just booked my short. I'm out.
Yeah, listen, I think I'm going to close this too. Let me close it on my account real quick.
35.
Right, let's see it.
It's beautiful.
I'm doing it on my big screen. Hold on, give me 1 second.
It's still going too. My
I
God.
know. I want to be done.
5,200 was my spot on ES, so I'm good.
I'm holding until
Forrest has the diamond hands today.
Listen, that was enough of a move for me, to be honest.
I don't believe in diamond hands. It's more so just trading my.
No, you just trade your plan at the end of the day.
Yeah, well, it's more fun to call it diamond hand. It would be diamond handing my trade because my trade was a short trade. So
hold on,
fair enough.
And you know what people don't try enough of? I use the volumetric approach trading. And I love it. It's the best.
Yeah, so I think any way that you can connect with the order flow is kind of a cheat code. So I played with volumetric candles a little bit. I prefer the cumulative delta. I know some people like bookmap, like however you can watch order flow.
I used to watch bookmap.
I just closed $1,400 each.
Nice.
I'll take that. That's a solid day. That's a solid day.
There you go.
I just want to. I really want to do 2 5-figure payouts and then hopefully get moved to live. That's my goal. That's the next thing that I want to do because my last 2 payouts were about 5,000 each. I really want to do like 10K each account and then hopefully get moved to live from there.
I think it's good to have the goals of what you're going to do with your account. So many people focus on just earning that account, just passing the test. I think that they lose sight of what they want to do with the account afterwards. Because for me, if I trade the account the way I want to trade, if I trade the evaluation the way I want to trade the final account, I do a lot better. Even if it's slower.
This is all right. A lot of people say this. I trade my eval the same way I trade my account. I don't over leverage my evals. People do that. I'm not like that. I keep my system 100% of the time. And especially with the what's it called? The expert plans, you could pass in one trade. So I wait for an A+ setup and I'll do like 1 mini and I'll pass on 1 trade. It's literally the best. They're the best plans out. Everyone who's watching this, they're number one.
Passing on a mini NASDAQ, on 1 mini NASDAQ.
That's it. Yeah.
Trade. Yep.
That's it. That's how I passed originally. I passed on 1 mini.
Especially in this
environment.
Yeah, that was it. And I loved like no other firm you could do that with.
You're just waiting for that ideal spot to get in, and then you're going.
I wait for my A+ entry, and I know based on my back testing, I think
that's huge. Nobody back tests enough. I'm glad you keep bringing up the back testing. This is something that I've been wanting to talk more about too. Before I put a trade in any account, whether it's my live funds or a prop account, even an eval, I have tested the trade. I'll go back, and even if I'm not live trading it, I'll go back in at least like playback or something and just kind of test my theory. And it's not just about getting that win rate. It's also about practicing the execution, because there's been a lot of days when I've come in and I've had the right idea and then I just fumbled the shit out of it.
Yeah, but this is what I tell people. If you don't have data, you're gambling. You have how can you trade without data?
When you have that data, you trade with more confidence and you make fewer errors too.
Yeah, exactly. Like the reason why I'm so confident in my trades is because I have years of data and I know my win rate is really high. All I have to do is just wait for the market to come to me. It's very simple. Don't get emotional and wait for the market conditions to be perfect, and you'll be rewarded. That's it. It's not, everyone's overcomplicating it. It's not as bad as it seems. You don't need to be in a trade every single day. You know, you could take your time and wait. I know some people
really focus on the daily goals, and you don't.
No, because you know what I think it is that, you know what makes it a little bit rough is that, say you're in an eval and then you have the monthly fee. I feel like everyone's in a rush to get it done so they don't get the monthly fee again. You know what I'm saying? And that's the wrong way to go about it. Like, now you're just rushing your trades for no reason. Personally, for me, what I've always liked is to have, I would rather pay an activation fee than have a higher monthly cost, because I would rather wait for the trades. And then when I know I passed the account, then I'm okay with paying the activation fee. That's just personally how I've always gone about it. And that's what I like.
A lot of them hide the fees inside that activation fee. A lot of these accounts look really cheap, And so they feel really cheap, but then they'll hit you with a $200 activation fee afterwards. So kind of you gotta watch out for that.
And then half the time the firm's not even solvent and they won't even pay you out. Like I'm not even kidding. The payout that I got with you guys was the fastest payout I ever got in my life.
Woo!
I got approved and it was in my Rise account in like 3 minutes.
Boom. All right.
No, I'm telling you, you guys are like literally my favorite firm. You are.
Yeah. If you need an account, link is in the chat.
Let's go.
Let's go. All right, Tyler, one more question for you.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have some free resets. All right.
Oh, I love that.
You joining us today. All right.
Yeah.
But question for you. So you closed out your trade on the short side.
Mm-hmm.
Now what does the rest of your day look like? Are you done?
Done.
You keep monitoring?
No, I mean, I'm going to look just because I like it. And then sometimes I watch like, because trading's a lonely thing. So sometimes I just tune into other people's live streams just to like hang out. I'll look at the charts, but I'm done trading. There's no more for me. And normally I always close my trades based on my back testing is by New York lunchtime. 12 o'clock, the market gets a little hairy and sometimes you could see a reversal. That's just what I've noticed in my back testing is that, after that lunchtime, the market gets a little weird for me and I don't like being involved anymore. Volume starts to die out. And then that's it. So I booked my profits. I'm good for the day. That's enough for me. There's no need for me to trade anymore, but I will watch the charts just because, I love this. This is everything that I've wanted in my life. So, and I'm addicted to the charts. So yeah, I will stick around to look at them for sure.
All right. Awesome. Tyler, how do folks stay in touch with you? You bring in the energy today.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I would love to do this again.
All right. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, really?
We'll figure it out. Yeah.
All right, cool. I'm down. I love this. This is the best.
Awesome. Yeah. How do people stay in touch with you?
Okay, so you can follow me on Twitter, which is my main platform. It's TG_capital, and then my Instagram is the same thing. I just made my new Instagram. Because I had my Instagram, like my personal one from like high school, but I really wanted to start fresh. Like, I want to get like some more videos out there for everyone. And I actually just made a TikTok too. So, I want to try and help as many people as I can because I've been through all the struggles that you guys have been through. And I know how it feels. And, when you're down on your luck and you want to give up, I promise you there's light at the end of the tunnel. If I can do this, you guys can too. I'm no different than anybody else. So listen, follow me on Twitter. That's like my main thing. I love being on there. I love interacting with everybody. And so you could just follow me there. Check out my Instagram and check out my TikTok too. It's TG_capital for my Twitter, and then same thing for my Instagram. And then my TikTok is, I think it's Tyler G FX, but I have to double check that. But yeah,
Tyler, you want to stick around for a minute for the giveaway?
Heck yeah!
We're doing it in honor of you. 100 people out there watching.
Let's go, baby!
We're getting free resets.
I love that.
Any account type, 100 of you are going to be the winners, the champions.
Let's go, guys.
250 people today.
I love this.
Giveaways. In honor of Tyler, Mr. TG, can we get the code on the screen, please?
Boom.
TG Capital 99.
Run it up.
Let's go.
Let's go, guys.
It's out there.
I love it.
In honor of Tyler's first appearance with us on our show.
This was so fun. I really want to do this again. I really do.
Right.
I love it.
Tyler, we gotta check the StreamYard chat. I dropped my line, man. We gotta link up. I'd love to interview you for
Heck yeah. Yo, I actually used to watch your YouTube videos all the time. So this is like a full circle moment for me.
Woo.
There you go, bro. This is full circle for me because I've never met anybody who watched my content.
Oh, stop.
Awesome. All right. Code is coming down. I see everybody asking for free accounts, not just free resets, okay? We have the resets queued up today.
They're savages.
Accounts tomorrow. All right. We'll be back here tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern. Do you want the accounts? You ask.
So tomorrow for accounts.
Let's go. Yeah, listen, maybe we
Come
can get some accounts away. That'd be sweet.
That'd be sweet. All right.
I like free stuff.
Doing it tomorrow, everyone. But awesome. Tyler, I appreciate you joining us, sir. And we'll be back in touch shortly.
Listen, if you want me back, just let me know. I'm down.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
All right. Take care, guys.
All right. Take care. All right.
All right. I guess it's time, huh? Yeah, it's time for closing. That was fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Barbie and Forrest, any final thoughts before we close it down for today?
Well, I really enjoyed that short, so I'm probably gonna
Yeah.
go. Personally, I'm probably gonna go take a break and then kind of. I don't know if I'll take another just futures trade today since that one was pretty good. I'll keep watching and see if I see anything on my radar. I'm probably gonna kind of switch over to options. I have some option strategies that I've been working on that I've been sharing with my community. So we're gonna probably work on some of those today. Because that when the market's kind of slow like this, like we were talking about this morning, I usually just look for that one big move, and we kind of already got it.
Yeah. That was good. Okay, what about you, Forrest?
So I'm just watching, same trade thesis. Still holding short, so we'll see what we get today. I'll probably I trade my own account, guys, by the way, so I don't necessarily have to just worry about the intraday stuff, but I will say, as Barbie mentioned, right, there was that first impulse here, so no one ever went broke making money, guys, right? If you made money on the day, stop trading.
It's okay to move on.
Yeah, it's okay to move on. The market's open tomorrow.
Yeah.
I promise you, in 4 days, you will not remember what happened today because most of you don't journal anyways. So,
but you should.
Note, a quick note. Grab a journal, guys. Grab a journal.
I'm even nerdy, and I have charts in mine now. I figured I bought a little photo printer just so I could print out charts to put in my journal.
Oh, that's cool.
I love it.
I know Forrest's a little more high tech, so he's got, I think, Notion or something where you can do everything on the computer.
Probably
Notion,
PowerPoint.
you can do a calendar view, and I can see every day all my notes. So I have different tabs. I could do like thesis, trades that played out, the journal for like every day.
I do mine similar. I always date, so I can always go back and get the context. But yeah, definitely a journaling nerd here. I have to have pen to paper, but
yeah,
it's the same idea.
More of an engineer, yeah. All right. Well, Luke, do you want to end the stream for us?
All right, that's a wrap. Monday, the trades are booked. We'll be back here at 9 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. If you have not yet subscribed, hit that subscribe button. We'll be talking more ideas. We'll talk updates on how these trades are panning out, and we'll have some free accounts. All right, chill, people, chill.
Free accounts.
We'll have them for you tomorrow. Yes.
All right, happy trading, everyone.
Bye.